If you feel like the law of attraction has failed you, or you have failed the law of attraction, it's not true. Understand that there are other spiritual laws, there are other universal laws in play. The law of cause and effect, or what most people call now the law of attraction, that says you know, all you have to do is ask, match that vibration of the thing you want, and it will appear. And it's super easy. You just have to be happy and focus on the things you want and tune out everything that you don't, to where you do what's called spiritual bypassing. That's why it's not consistent for you. When I've manifested the biggest things in my life the fastest, like my boat, you know, some of you may not know this, back in around 1998, I wanted to buy a boat, but within 2 weeks, I manifested the $25,000 down payment out of thin air and the financing to finance the boat, and found the exact boat that matched the list that I said I wanted. From start to finish, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I manifested that boat. Everyone said I was crazy. And I was putting the law of attraction and all of the universal laws to the test. And I literally said to Spirit, if this stuff is real, and if you really want me to teach this to other people, here's the deal. And I wrote the list, and I went, if you can make that happen. And I was thinking, you know, inheritance, win the lottery. That's the only way this is going to happen. But if you can make that happen and meet this list, I will believe it. And I will start to line myself up all the time to this, and then create the work. And it was in the process of me creating Charm Life and putting it out to the world. That was the beginning stages back in 1998. And no joke, 2 weeks later, not only did I have the $25,000 cash for my down payment, everything lined up for me to get my boat financed, which is very difficult. It's much harder to finance a boat than it is a house, because banks look at it like rolling inventory. It can disappear. In other words, sink, burn, roll away, whatever. And I didn't have any credit at that time other than buying some cars. But I was able to do it, like literally everything lined up, and it lined up quickly. But there's been other things that I wanted to manifest that have taken longer. And the longer it takes, whether it's a certain opportunity, a certain connection of meeting somebody, or another pile of money or whatever, there are certain times when it doesn't happen. And that's why I created Charm Life and waited to release it to the world. I wanted to perfect it, right? Because there's all these places, and I hear it from people all the time, you know, law of attraction doesn't always work for me. Why doesn't it work for me? Because A, you have both conscious and unconscious beliefs that are in operation. So where do your beliefs come from, right? They come from your childhood. You were being programmed, like truly being programmed with what to believe and what to think and why things were a certain way and who you could trust from the time you were born right into about 9 or 10 years old. And there was a place where you weren't conscious. You didn't have a choice of what beliefs were coming to you. Your teachers taught you, society taught you, your parents taught you, your grandparents taught you how to look at relationships, who to trust, who not to trust, how to think about health, whether or not you were able to have money, were you good enough, were you smart enough, were you performing enough, right? Like we had all these things being programmed into us. What ends up happening with all of that, especially when you're in a state where you're unconscious as a child, and then you begin to have experiences in life, you start to create a story in your life, a history in your life. All of your history begins to line up to those unconscious beliefs, right? There comes a point where we will rebel in our younger years, like junior high, high school, and young adulthood, where we rebel and we go, I don't believe what my parents said about this and that. And we go test the waters, right? But somewhere in the back of our mind, those beliefs are already there. They've created what's called neural pathways. And those neural pathways send a signal. So every time we come against something in our lives that trigger those past beliefs, those past events, even if we say, I don't believe that anymore, we reenact exactly those beliefs in a very unconscious way, and we react to them. one of my problems within watching a lot of the things going on out in the metaphysical communities, the spiritual communities, the law of attraction teachings and all of that is there's a lot of people that are telling others, you know, I can help unblock you. All I have to do is this healing modality or that healing modality. And while it will clear energy and allow you to create something temporarily, meaning short term, you still have not truly dealt with, cleared, and addressed the unconscious programs, the unconscious beliefs. So at some point, gonna rear its ugly head again, and you're gonna be back to square one, which is why, you know, a lot of these quick healing modalities, you have to keep doing them. You have to keep clearing them because you really haven't addressed them in a conscious way. That's what I teach. That's what I want you guys to understand. What if you barely remember those times that were so horrible? It's not a matter of necessarily needing to always remember them. What it is being able to deep dive into the subconscious, getting control of your unconscious mind and bringing it to consciousness. Your power to manifest, to create, to receive, and to unblock yourself from having these things that you want. It is about unlayering it. And the more work you do on yourself and deep dive in uncovering these things within the unconscious mind and bringing it to conscious awareness, the quicker you will be able to clear them, the quicker you will be able to stand in your current chosen beliefs. Chosen meaning you've chosen it consciously. It wasn't programmed into you, and that takes work. So I get a little pissy when I see all of these things out there about think positive and do all these things. Those things help. They help to raise your emotional vibration, plug you into a much higher vibration where you can connect to your higher self. Yes, but when you reach a certain level of success or a certain level where things are going your way, somewhere in the recesses of your subconscious still lies those unconscious beliefs and programs. And when those get activated and you're not aware of it, you will begin to do things that do sabotage you. The programs that come from the unconscious are controlled and run by the ego, the inner critic. You know, a lot of people think the ego is just that arrogance and pride thing, that thing that says I have to be right and I'm better than you. That's not the only voice of the ego. That's the one that most of the world recognizes. The ego is also the wounded inner child that is there to keep those programs running. Those programs that you took on as a child helped you make sense of the world based on what other people in your life learned and taught you to make sense of your world because it made sense to them. But as we sort of grow and evolve and time goes on, you know, even those beliefs are found to be not true. Look, you guys, remember back when you've read in the history books, everyone thought the world was flat. Some people are putting stuff out there that says the world's flat. It's not flat. My daughter put up a meme the other day, or I shared one with her that said if the world was flat, cats would have knocked everything off the edge by now because it's that ridiculous. The world is round. When science and explorers discovered the world was in fact round, it took a while for people of that generation to accept it wasn't flat. Right? It took a long time for people to go and make that leap in and change in their belief system because it got embedded. It was just something accepted. Things like you have to be a certain way, look a certain way, feel a certain way, come from a certain family are beliefs that our society programmed into us that say we can have or we can have not, right? Like, gotta be born on the right side of the tracks. There's a belief. You may not consciously regurgitate that information, but if you have that belief and it's residing in the back of your mind at any level, when you begin to experience success, the ego will pull in and go, you don't deserve it. A lot of people have the belief that they have to work really hard to have financial security or success. You have to work hard, you have to work long, you have to work smart, you have to have an education. How many of you guys have that? A lot of people believe you have to work to have money, to have financial security. I'll tell you right now, trust fund babies don't feel that way. And they don't have that belief, right? Other people believe you have to be a good person in order to have a good life and for the universe to reward you and blah blah blah. You got to be a good person. That's not true either. If you look at the mob, if you look at some of the people that have been highly successful, they weren't good people. Then there's another belief that comes in that if you do have a lot, if you have a lot of money, if you have a lot of opportunity, it will change you and you're going to be just a big asshole. Another subconscious program. So you will hit a certain level of success in attaining your dreams and living the life that you really want. And then you are going to do things unconsciously to sabotage that very thing because you are only allowing yourself to experience so much because you don't want to become that person that lines up with that belief that says, if you have a lot, you're an asshole, right? So these are all the things that we really need to address so that we can unleash our true nature. This universe is so abundant. There is enough, but we have been told for so long that there isn't, that, you know, and God help us, there's so much in the media that talks about the highs and the lows and the ebbs and the flows and financial markets, and you need to be educated in this and you need to be educated in that. I'll tell you guys this, I have never, not one day, taken a college class, entered into college, and yet I've had director level marketing positions in business development in the corporate world. Didn't go to college. A lot of people had a belief that I didn't deserve that job, that I didn't deserve that position. And they had no problem telling me how much I did not deserve that. Even though I was self-studied and I studied marketing and I studied the psychology of sales and I understood the digital world as it was coming online because I was in marketing right when the internet, you know, took off, when the dot-com boom started to happen is when I was in marketing. And so many people were like, you don't deserve that. And yet here I was living this life, living this dream at the same time. I, you know, manifested my boat and whatnot. So what was the difference between me and other people that had a degree, had an education? I didn't have that thing that I had to go to school. In fact, I had a belief that I could learn anything I wanted to if I just applied myself and it was interesting to me. And I've always believed that, and I've always excelled in the things that I've taken on because I have that belief. But many people have beliefs, and you guys probably have some as well, that say, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have this, I don't have that, right? That's a block to your abundance. A lot of people within relationships have this unconscious belief that they have to be a certain way, look a certain way. I can't tell you how many times women have told me about relationships, you know, well, it's easy for you to find men because you're beautiful, Bernadette, and blah, blah, blah. That's not necessarily what is. Yes, people are attracted to the physicality of somebody, you know, but that is not what makes them enter into relationships with people. But if you have the belief that you have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, be a certain way, you aren't going to limit the amount of people that you attract to you, even for relationships. We need to create partnership with the universe, right? Like in union with the universe, so that I can say to my partner, the universe, hey, hey, I want to go on vacation and I want it to be magical and I want to experience all kinds of different things, and have my partner, the universe, say, it's done. Wish granted, Bernadette. And it all just lines up. That's the way my life happens when I'm happy, when I'm clear, when I'm at peace, when I'm in a place of faith, and when I have my own beliefs in order. And if you guys don't believe me, go watch some of my other live streams, because I've always been able to do that. Like literally in August, I was in California in Santa Rosa, in Sonoma County, and stayed at the Hilton last minute. And as we were driving up to the lobby area for us to go in and register, because we were supposed to stay at another hotel, I thought it would be really nice to have just a super nice room. I want to be upgraded. No joke. Guy, I got in line and they gave my room that I had reserved over the phone just 10 minutes prior away to the guy in front of me and said, hey, would you mind if we put you in a suite? And I actually did a live stream from that suite. So it's things like that. When you're that clear, that you get to play with things like that too. But even better is when you just have that amazing relationship with spirit, and your guides and the universe, and you always know which way to turn. You always know what's a yes and what's a no. You always feel it because your feelings are that clear too.